The 2019-20 season was a very weird season for the Spurs to say the least. Just the year prior, it seemed like the team was going to miss the playoffs, but somehow, someway, they snuck into the 7th seed, only to be eliminated in 7 games by the Denver Nuggets. Then looking into this season, the Spurs seemed to be in the same position. They weren't good enough to really compete for a championship like that, but they also weren't bad enough to get a high pick in the lottery, and that deemed true once again with the exception of the Spurs finally missing the playoffs after 22 straight years in the postseason, finishing with just a 32-39 record. And now with a lot of key players entering free agency, the Spurs have a lot of questions to answer going into next season. The biggest question is what the Spurs should do with DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. Both guys are great players, don't get me wrong. However, realistically, they are second or third options at best on a championship team, and it's clear that the Spurs don't have the supporting cast or a true star to truly compete for a chip. In regards to DeRozan, he has the option to either accept or decline his $27.8 million player option. In my opinion, I believe that he will definitely accept it given his playstyle doesn't necessarily warrant a max contract in this day and age, but I don't think the Spurs should keep him on the roster anymore, and they should focus more on a youth movement giving guys like Lonnie Walker more playing time in order to develop. Throughout the season, the Spurs have been linked with sending DeMar over to Miami. One potential deal I could see working out is Kelly Olynyk, Andre Iguodala, and the 20th pick in this year's draft for DeMar, which isn't a bad haul at all. However, I don't think San Antonio would accept this deal, as they see DeRozan having a much higher trade value than that, and whether that's true or not is up for other teams to decide. I believe that if Miami really wants this trade to go down, they would definitely have to give up either Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson as well, in addition to that package, which I just don't see happening. As for LaMarcus Aldridge, he's guaranteed a contract of $24 million this year, and I could definitely see the Spurs moving him closer to the trade deadline. Although he's coming off right shoulder surgery, a lot of teams would benefit from his rim protection as he averaged a career-high 1.6 blocks per game this year, as well as his outside shooting from both the mid-range and the three-point area. One intriguing destination for Aldridge could definitely be the Boston Celtics, who have been in search of a big man since Al Horford left the team. Aldridge is a great replacement and could instantly impact the Celtics on both ends of the floor. The trade would involve Aldridge in exchange for Gordon Hayward, Robert Williams, and the 26th overall pick. The Spurs would not only add Hayward, who would be on the last year of his deal, and therefore clear out some salary cap, but they'd also add Robert Williams, a young athletic defensive-minded big man, and another first-round pick in this year's draft. Another potential guy in trade talks is definitely Rudy Gay, who is also on the last year of his deal, but we'll have to see what the Spurs do with that. Moving on from these veterans, the Spurs definitely have some guys that they would like to re-sign to some team-friendly deals, beginning with Jakob Poeltl. While he did spend most of his time as Aldridge's backup this season, in the games he started he really showed that he could be a starting level center for a team, averaging 7.4 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 1.7 blocks. If San Antonio could get him on an $8 to $10 million deal, that would be really good for them, much like they got DeJounte Murray on a very team-friendly deal as well. Secondly, the team would want to re-sign sharpshooter Britton Forbes, as he's a key part to San Antonio's spacing in their starting lineup, which if we're being honest, doesn't have the best shooting to begin with guys like DeJounte and DeMar DeRozan in there as well. They do have his bird rights, so if they do have to, they can go over the cap in order to sign him. Other potential guys the Spurs could bring back are Marco Bellinelli and Trey Lyles. However, let's say that DeMar does in fact decline his player option, the Spurs would then have some salary cap to work with. There I could see them signing guys like Joe Harris, Jeremy Grant, and perhaps Dario Saric. If they wanted to go for bigger free agents, they could possibly also go for Serge Ibaka and also Paul Millsap. Finally, let's talk about the 2020 draft, where the Spurs find themselves with the 11th pick, and with this pick, I can see the Spurs taking either Patrick Williams or Devin Vassell. Patrick Williams seems to be more of the realistic pick for the Spurs, as I see Vassell going earlier in the draft. In Williams, the Spurs would get a raw but very athletic and versatile defensive wing, who should be able to guard the 2 through 4 positions. Standing at 6'8 and boasting a 6'11 wingspan, I definitely see Williams as more of a project, especially on the offensive end, but there's no better place to grow than in a culture like the Spurs have. Williams will definitely learn a lot from the likes of Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan, and the rest of the Spurs. However, should Vassell still be available, I would take him over Williams. The Spurs would find themselves with potentially the best 3-and-D player in the draft and an instant impact player on the wing and more shooting than Williams would provide. So to sum it all up, going into next season, I believe that this will be the start of a rebuilding year for the Spurs and the beginning of the youth movement, which is for the best. With a lot of good young guys like DeJounte Murray, Jakob Poeltl, Lonnie Walker, Luka Samanic, Keldon Johnson, and Derek White, the Spurs have a lot of time to quietly build and develop one of the best cores in the league. And if there's any team that we should have confidence in successfully rebuilding, it's definitely the Spurs. But with all that being said, this is just my opinion, so let me know in the comments below how you think the Spurs offseason will go, how you think they're going to handle DeRozan and Aldridge, and how you think they're going to do next season. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe with post notifications on. We try to upload 2 times a week and it's been going well, so be on the lookout for that. And with all that being said, remember this. This is Greg Popovich's final year on his contract, and whether or not he retires remains to be seen, but we better enjoy him while he still is in the league. And if he does in fact decide to retire, he'll definitely go down as one of, if not the greatest coach in NBA history.